Well, we are back here on the Nights On, Lights Off podcast. It's season 2. It is episode 11. I'm Will Cladley with the Game Escape channel, joined as always by JayShy of ShinMegamiTalks. Jay, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Doing very well. It's good to be back after this long hiatus we took. Um, Went into a new venture in our lives, right? I think we both opened up new chapters of our lives.
I think we absolutely did, and it's funny. We didn't plan on a hiatus. It just life took us in different directions, and I was thinking, when was the last time we recorded? And shockingly, it's been 6 months ago.
That's
Can
some
you believe
hiatus.
that?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't think 6 months went by that fast.
Yeah. I'm just it is crazy to think that. I think so much, not only has changed for us,
Hmm.
but just has changed in the world and changed in gaming. I think we have so much to discuss, and life is so busy that, hey, we're going to be straight up with you guys. We don't have any kind of show notes. We're just going to reflect and kind of go off the top of our heads here.
Yeah, we're gonna wing it today. Today is gonna be an interesting episode for our first episode back. Do you want to just dive right in, or do you want to tell the viewers and the listeners of what we've been doing really quickly?
Well, I think at least what I wanted to talk about first is kind of tied together what we've been doing in our lives and then kind of connecting it with gaming. And so
Yeah.
you and I both moved, and we both moved our collections. So how did that go for you? It was a little bit different than what I thought it would be personally.
Yeah, definitely. It was, of course it was stressful, but um when we say moved, we've both became homeowners. So that's a huge hurdle that we both went over, but it's kind of, I guess it's kind of, is the word serendipitous, is that a word where it happened for the both of us at the same time, which is weird. But
Yes.
but it was it was um it was an eye-opening experience for me, mostly because I realized how much stuff I've amassed. I didn't think I had that much until you started to put it away into boxes. Um Man, I had a ton. I had a ton, and but I'm not gonna lie, rebuilding the room was a lot of fun. It was a lot
Yes.
of fun. I don't know how about you? How was it for you?
Well, it was. I would echo those sentiments. You realize how much stuff you have, especially when you're the one physically moving it.
Mhm.
And yet, I encountered situations where once I started putting things away in my shelves in the new game room, and I think people who have followed my channel have seen, I had a room, but I kept most of my games in kind of like a closet with shelving, and I just sent a picture to the Discord, like, finally got everything out of that closet. And in that little closet, I had over 1,300 games, and basically what I had in there is now filling up 2 rooms in my basement. But the funny thing for me is, like, I thought in some cases I had more than I did
Mhm.
once you start, because I was, like, double stacking things in shelves.
Right,
And
right.
so, like, my Saturn collection, for example, that was everywhere in that closet, every sort of nook and cranny. When I put it together, I was like, "Oh, I only have 2 shelves of Saturn stuff." Or I thought I had a lot more PlayStation 4 games. But then on the other hand, the sheer weight of some things was astounding.
Yeah.
Like, when I put all of my Switch games, so I didn't necessarily use boxes. I had these kind of like super oversized moving bags. They're kind of like body bags in a way. And I
Mhm.
put my entire Switch collection in one bag, and the thing was over 100 pounds,
Wow.
seemingly. Um, and then I mentioned that I like to collect the new type magazines, and
Mhm.
so that was the heaviest thing that I moved. My entire new type magazine collection in one huge bag and one large box, and I literally, like, almost broke my back. And this was a day after I moved a massive safe down a flight
Oh.
of stairs, and I was like, "Oh, that's difficult," but it wasn't as difficult as the new type magazines.
I kind of had the same experience with moving heavy things. I never realized how much Switch stuff I had until I had to pack away the limited editions. You already know that my limited edition collection is it's extraordinarily big, and it took up two extra large um Home Depot boxes, and
Wow.
it was I never realized how heavy and how much space it took up. Cardboard boxes with stuff in it. And I remember just moving all of that stuff and just thinking in my head, all right, when I get into the new room, this is what I'm going to play first. This is how I want the mood to be. I was doing all of these little thoughts in my head of how I wanted it to be, and none of that stuff happened. But it was
Yeah,
it was a good experience.
I what I set up in my head for, I'm calling it the escape room, or my
Nice.
bunker, as I've said.
So yeah, your bunker.
And yeah, it's weird. So when you talk about serendipitous, the house that we moved into was, it just kind of materialized very quickly,
Hmm.
and it wouldn't we really like the house, and it's great in a lot of ways, but it wasn't exactly the type of house necessarily that we set out to buy.
Right.
So it's kind of, it has this really, really large basement, and half of it's finished and half of it's not finished. And the finished part is great. It's like a big rec room with two little rooms off to the sides, and my wife graciously let me have that whole area. So my plan was to do a kind of like home theater room slash bar in the bigger area, and then have a modern game room and a retro game room.
Nice.
And it pretty much came together as I thought. One of the problems with the way the house was designed is that I couldn't actually get my bed, or one of our beds, to the top floor.
Hmm.
So it's like, oh, what do we do with this extra bed? And now that is in one of those rooms. So I'm kind of creating this like retro bedroom kind of feel, which I didn't anticipate. So that was the good unanticipated part. The bad unanticipated part is that as soon as we moved in, which was just a couple weeks ago, we had a water issue in the basement.
Yep.
And
Where all
so,
the games
uh,
are.
yeah, so
It's like
all
a
the games are
magnet.
there, and it stopped me from putting the escape room bunker together as quickly as I anticipated. And you do realize, you're like, is a basement the best place for a collection?
Yeah.
And the answer is, I mean, we didn't have a lot of water damage. It wasn't like, the games were floating. It was just like off in the corner. But it's very complicated to get that stuff fixed.
Yeah. I'm happy you
And it,
you caught it as soon as you did, because the moisture, from what I've heard, can really bring a damper on the collection.
yeah, yeah, I was lucky. I mean, I caught it. I've got a dehumidifier going.
Good.
And this will spare the listeners all of the details, but as I said, we had to dig so deep to find this problem, this pipe that, I said jokingly, we found Jimmy Hoffa on the way down, but we fixed it, and so the game room is finally coming together, and I'm gonna do a room tour video much later, like once I get everything sorted, because I mean, you seems like you moved in like a very rational way, packing everything in boxes and stuff like that. We didn't necessarily do that. We just kind of threw everything into, everything's in a bag. It's in this unfinished part of the basement, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And we have not necessarily figured it all out. Um, I jokingly, it's like whatever item that you need at any given time is the item that you can't find.
Right. Yep.
Uh, it's whether you're trying to build something. It's like, hey, where's that tool? No idea. It's gone. So, but yeah, it's fun, and I don't know like what the setup is that you've gone with, but at least like now that I can space everything out on multiple shelves,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm living in a Surigaya, and I like that feeling.
Yeah, it feels good. It for me, I actually downsized the room. I know you remember the last video that I uploaded. My room, it was really big. It was very spacious. I remember when we were looking for a house, I told my wife, I said, hey, you know what? I want to downsize. I want a smaller room this time around. And she asked me, she said, "Well, why? You have so much stuff." I said, "I kind of want a room that reminds me of the 90s when you walk into it. I kind of want to get it small enough where it doesn't look like a store anymore. I kind of want it to look like, some teenager's room. And luckily the place that we've got, it has like these wooden floors. So I don't know if you remember, but you remember when I built that retro corner in my last game room and I had
Yeah,
the
that was
yellow light?
awesome.
Right. I had the yellow light bouncing. Well, I wouldn't call it yellow light, but it's a light bulb that gives off this 90-ish yellow glow. I The way it bounces off the walls and the wooden floor in the game room, it's amazing. It just works perfectly. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's good enough to have two lazy boys in, which I like, but I kind of wanted something that was a bit more compact. For two reasons. One, I kind of outgrew having a large space to myself. Only because um I guess my wife felt like she couldn't share the space with me, and the other thing is that I kind of wanted to mitigate how much stuff I could buy. I noticed when the room was too big, I wasn't really paying attention to how much I was buying. So I kind of wanted to slow that down just a bit. But the room, like I said, the room isn't too small. It's not too big. It's like right in the middle. There's a sweet spot, and I adore it. Now the whole room just look 90s right now. It's
Mm.
not going for that kind of modern look anymore.
Yeah, I like that. I'm sort of the opposite. I'm coming from
You
a
deserve a
smaller
bigger.
space.
You deserve a bigger room. All right, you deserve that.
Yeah, but it's funny as I was moving the stuff out, I took pride. I was like, wow, I really crammed a lot of stuff into
You
the
did.
smaller room, but I
Yeah.
didn't. It wasn't. I mean, people saw it, have seen it online. Like, I don't think it looked overly crowded. Like, there was a
No.
lot of stuff in there, but
No.
yeah, I still had a bed, and I could still share the space with other people. And I feel like there's a certain art to designing a smaller space.
There is.
And
You did a
I'm
good
only
job.
appreciating that now. But other things that were kind of unanticipated, I don't know if you ran into this, but I had a lot of like very light, empty boxes that were nonetheless difficult to transport. Like if you bought a steel book and it would have that outer sleeve,
Hmm.
I would save those things because I'm a collector.
Right.
Obviously, my hated Obi strips. I had basically a stack of those hidden in the closet,
That's
or
awesome.
empty Saturn games. Like you'd get, say, one of the Capcom fighters, and it would come in the outer paper box, and then you would have the jewel case. So I saved all those paper boxes, and I just had a huge bag of these empty cardboard things that I wanted to save. Very difficult to transport without damaging.
Can only
That
imagine.
was, yeah. And then the one thing that kind of hit me going into the new game room is that just how difficult it is to find good shelving. I don't know if you
If
encountered this.
if you want to look outside of the box away from um The IKEA Billy bookshelves. Yeah, it's pretty hard. I I, I was looking for shelves too. I almost um bit the bullet on getting one of those. Have you ever seen those bookshelves that they have in Japan? They have like sliding shelves. Have you
I
ever
have
seen
not
those?
seen that.
So
No.
so so Japan has these bookshelves that have two shelves in the front, and you can open them like sliding doors on the shelf, and they have extra shelves behind those shelves. I guess it's to
Oh,
mitigate, taking up too much space. I almost bit the bullet on buying two of those. The size of a Billy bookshelf, but then I thought to myself, man, those tariffs are gonna destroy me if I do
yes.
this. So
Yes.
I
That's
decided against it.
yeah, I was lucky. The guy who sold us the house,
Hmm.
right before we moved in, he texted me and he's like, do you want this old bookcase? And it was kind of like a massive bookcase that I was like, "Oh, wow, I could fit a lot of games in there." So, sweet, free. Yeah, it's a little dinged
Yeah.
up, but it will work. And then I couldn't find other shelving that was adequate. I brought 2 shelves from the old house, but then see, I have this theory, like, bookshelves are fairly simple, so I'm going to find what I call the cheapest functional item. So I bought these quote unquote media shelves for about 50 bucks. And as I was putting one of them together, there was like a loose edge and it gashed my arm. So I have a 9 inch, looks like I was in a knife fight.
Jeez.
And then my wife comes in the room. She's like, "These are the ugliest things I've ever seen, and you're bleeding out. Um, you have to throw this out. You got to get rid of it." So she found, and that's what I posted on the Discord the other day, these really, really nice bookshelves. I don't know what they are or where she found them,
Mhm.
but they're absolutely perfect for game storage.
Your wife
So
came in clutch, man.
yeah, yeah, and she built them. She's like, you're not allowed to, do anything with bookshelves anymore. So but I mean, I feel like if you look at, yeah, you got the Billy stuff, and I've never bought them or put them together. I don't know what kind of quality they are, but it's just like there's really, really bad quality stuff,
Mhm.
and there's really, really good quality stuff that is super expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a good middle ground except for these things that she found.
For bookshelves, if you're looking for a really good bookshelf, you go to like antique stores. The problem is that usually they're just so damn heavy, because they're built to last, and they're when you find them, they're really beat up because they've moved around so much.
Yeah, there's also garage sales. Like we've found some interesting things over the years at garage sales.
Mhm.
Um, it's just a bummer because we had access to a like a SUV that we were using to move. A family member lent it to us, and then I got into a car accident with it, so we can no longer use it, which kind of sucked. Um, Not my fault though. Throw that out there. I was struck by someone running a red light, but so now it's just like we can't even do that. So we're kind of at the mercy of buying just whatever we can find online and hoping that it's good. But
Hmm.
yeah, antique stores are a good idea. So I think those are some thoughts. Oh, one last thought about moving that I have heard online and that I wanted to get your opinion about. I was watching, I believe it's a guy named CJR.
Hmm.
There's a channel, and he was talking about kind of like the downsides of collecting and how difficult it is to move a collection.
Hmm.
And the people really need to think about that before they get into this hobby. And I've heard that elsewhere over the years, like, is it really worth having all of this stuff?
Same.
I I will say that it was I mean, anytime you move, it's stressful. So I'm not talking about just the general stress of moving, but I didn't think that moving the collection was particularly difficult or onerous?
I I'm gonna be honest. I usually, because I've moved my collection like 4 times, maybe 4 to 3 times, and I don't know this person, but I think psychologically, it's one of those things where I feel like when a person says that, they don't really enjoy the hobby they're in.
Mm.
Because when I was moving my collection, it was fun to pack up that stuff. It was fun to move it because the anticipation of, all right, how's the layout going to go? All right, so where's my bookshelf going to go? Okay, all right, I'm going to put this collection over here, and that part was fun to me. But then again, I'm weird. I play bad video games, so maybe that's just me. But I always feel like when I hear that, it comes from a person who they're not passionate about their collection. They're collecting, because it's the thing to do. You know what I mean?
Mm.
At the time. And I for me, like I said, for me it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I as soon as I moved in, it was the first thing I did. Let's build the room.
Well, that's sweet. That's for me, it was literally the last thing that I did, but I had that anticipation. Yeah, I think that's a good. It gives you, at least for me, like a kind of renewed intimacy as you're packing these
Yeah.
things up. You're like, oh, not that you knew that you didn't have these things, but you're handling them for the first time in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
You're organizing them. You're giving it that love and attention. So yeah, so I think generally positive experiences, and we will. I believe we should, like I said, down the road once everything is settled, we should do room tour videos. Give
Yeah.
people a
I I
little
I
update.
I won't lie. I won't lie. I am retired from YouTube. I am retired. However,
I
I
refuse to
do
accept that.
I do believe that I I would say I owe it to you and everybody else in the Discord chat. And that's another thing. For everybody who doesn't know, Game Escape does have a Discord that is very talkative, and if you should join. It's really it I wouldn't say it's toxic. It's not it's not toxic. It's very fair, it's very nice. However, I do think that we went a bit overboard when the Nintendo Switch 2 came out.
Yes, well, no, we did discuss that pretty intensely, and
Should
we
should
probably
should,
should.
should we discuss that, or should we go to games that we're playing? Which one should we do?
I think we should discuss. I think that's kind of like the big release that happened in our hiatus,
Yeah,
and there's been a lot of negativity, a lot of criticism,
a lot of negativity.
and yeah.
A lot.
So,
And I've done my fair share of sharing the negativity, but I'm not negative about the console. But I've definitely shared it a lot. Whenever
so
I find
let's.
something negative, I share it to someone.
Oh, well, I mean, and I think that's. I mean, I really learn a lot about that because I mean, you have found a lot of interesting sources, and
Yeah.
each and every day, I'm like, oh wow, that really sucks. This console, what are they doing? So I think by now everyone knows like the major criticisms, the game key cards, the
Yeah.
pricing,
And the
the
other thing,
price hikes.
what is the they can brick your console, right? Or something like that. Like they can
Yes,
damage your console. So those are the big things. Um but I mean, man, this has been a polarizing release.
I think the most polarizing release. I mean, probably since the Xbox One, like the original, TV, sports,
See,
that whole Don Matrick
but
thing.
but the thing with the Don Matrick thing is that the console didn't even release yet. It was polarizing before it came out, so everybody kind of knew what it was. But Nintendo was so secretive about the release of the Nintendo Switch that we didn't really learn anything until later, you know? But man, I've never been, I would say, Hyped for a console before I knew about it, and then when they showed us little things about it, my hype completely dissipated for a console. That has never happened before. The Nintendo Switch 2 is the first one that it's happened for.
No, I think that's definitely fair. I know that I kind of felt the same way, although I think I was probably a little bit more hopeful prior to the launch.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I mean, the part of it too is the yeah, let's face it, it's the tariff situation. It's kind
Yeah.
of like you're worried about, oh, is it going to get even more expensive? It seems like it is. Um, are you guaranteed? Can you get one? I mean, I think the supply was ultimately okay.
Mhm.
Um,
5
I
million copies,
couldn't
right?
Yeah, I couldn't
Yep.
get one on release day because I didn't realize release day was like 12:01 AM and I was asleep.
Mhm.
But I was able to find one when I got back to the US, mid-July. So and just could order it from Target. But yeah, what is of all these negatives, what to you is the biggest negative?
Probably the game key cards. I would be
Yep.
completely honest because I mean, we're collectors, right? We're gamers who don't sell. I don't think of us as collectors anymore. I think of us as, we buy what we enjoy and we just don't sell it. Sometimes there's those occasions when we'll double dip. I don't see that happening for the Switch 2. And there's a couple of things. So we predicted a couple of things with the Switch 2, right? We predicted the price correctly.
Yep.
We predicted that well, I was more joking when I said this because I was more afraid that this was going to happen, and it did. Remember, I said I hope that they don't go the same route that the Switch did, where they have the same cases and it has the same card. Like I want to see cartridges again, or I want to see something different. Like that didn't happen. Um, we got the exact same thing. But game key cards are probably the worst thing that I've seen so far. I I try to look at some of the games that are coming out and I just keep seeing key cards everywhere and I
Yeah.
don't want to buy keys. I want to buy a game that when I put it in it doesn't download a thing. That's what I want. And from what I've been hearing, the only games that really do that are Nintendo first parties.
Pretty much, yeah. I deliberately did not purchase any game key cards. I just feel like if it's a multi-platform game, I'll get it on another platform, or I just couldn't support that business model. So I was only able to find the version that came with the download of Mario Kart,
Mhm.
which not ideal, but I was fine with it. I'm not a huge Mario Kart fan, and um, my wife loves Mario Kart, so may as well just have it right on the system, ready to go, fire it up. And I did get the Donkey Kong game.
How is that? That was the one game I was super excited about when I saw it. I saw the Donkey Kong and I was like, all right, I'm buying a Nintendo Switch 2 for that game. But I just didn't get around to
It's
it.
it's how can I put this?
This is great.
I I haven't. I'll admit that I've been busy, so I really haven't played deep into it. But it reminds me, I think, in a good way, of an N64 platformer. It's
Okay.
colorful, it's creative, but it has some very distinct areas where it is just not polished.
Mm.
And if you're playing, if you grew up in the N64 era and like you struggled as developers were trying to figure out how cameras worked in a
Mhm.
game, like you were having fun and it was creative, and yet there were those moments that you just kind of struggle through. The camera in this game is terrible. So And again, I think people were too charitable online, like, "Oh,
They
occasionally
were
it's a little janky." It's no, this
very.
camera is broken for the type of game that it is. So it's, you really can smash through all these different destructible surfaces and layers
Mhm.
and move through the level in interesting ways that arguably you've never been able to do in a Nintendo game before. But if you get really creative and start plowing your way through different layers of the stage, the camera just kind of warps in these crazy ways, and the background fades away, and you almost see yourself like outside of normal the normal universe. So you can see yourself like digging down, everything becomes transparent. You can see certain things off in the distance, and then you can smash your way and then exit into the quote unquote real part of the stage.
Mm.
It's strange. It's fun, and I have enjoyed the time that I've spent with it, but it's not a game that I could see myself rushing to finish. Um, and personally, just and maybe this is just well, obviously this is just me what I'm going to say, but it was funny. I got the game and I was like driving home. I'm ready to play it, and I click on the Digital Foundry review,
Right.
and the moment I clicked on the review, that's when the car hit me. So 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 like every time like
I
I
hear you.
associate this game with being, hit by this car and sent into the opposite direction of traffic on a highway,
Right.
and luckily surviving what could have been a really bad situation. So now this is like connected with this game in my head.
Mm.
I'm still playing it. I'm not going to not play it, but that just
I
pops into
I
my head.
I heard that it's kind of like a 3D open world Zelda game,
Yeah,
is what
I think
people
that's
were
fair.
thinking. Like they said that it kind of reminds them of what was the last Zelda game? Breath of the Wild or Tears of the
Oh,
Kingdom or
Tears of the
whatever it's called.
Kingdom.
But yeah,
Interesting.
it looked good when I saw it. And I remember looking at it, and I thought technically it looked pretty cool. It looked pretty cool. I don't want to pay $70 to $80 for it. That's for sure. That's another thing about the Switch that I don't like, the $80 price tag games. Like,
Really? That
and
game was $80?
no, I
I
think
could
it
have
was
sworn
70. I think it was
okay.
70 or 60. But the whole variable pricing thing that they were talking
Yes.
about, like how do you equate that? Like so is Mario Kart a better game than Donkey Kong? Like, so I don't understand this variable pricing, but
Yeah, I mean, not in my mind. I actually think Donkey Kong is the game that at least I would have more fun with. I think Mario Kart is a formula,
Mm,
and like I said, I think I mentioned this in the Discord. I see the Mario Kart game as like the luxury version of Mario Kart. Like it's
yeah.
super polished. It has certain I'll say technicalities that previous games didn't have. Like you could really learn the tracks. You could really learn the optimal points to rail grind.
Mhm.
It has all of these little nostalgic nods to, I think, other games in the racing genre, and obviously just great animation. But I don't know, like for me, if it has the staying power. I'm not a Mario Kart fan, but I almost feel like it has a little bit less to do than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
It looked like that. It really
Yeah.
did. 'Cause I remember watching videos on it, and I was just like, why does this look more like straight roads with like light turns here and there? Where, Mario Kart Deluxe 8 had like twists and turns and driving upside down and all this stuff. This felt more tame, like just more. It feels like it feels like the first Mario Kart game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me, I have
I
a cold or something.
so and I haven't figured out what the open world is meant to do. I mean, I don't have Nintendo Online, so I'm not playing online, but I think
Mhm.
in that context, it's getting you from race to race and kind of gives you stuff to do kind of as the next race loads or something like that. And I think people were complaining like it functioned kind of as an intermission
Yeah, I heard that.
between the competitive races. Now, you can play this mode single player, and I have, but I fail to see the point of it. There doesn't seem to be any overarching missions. There are like little challenges here or there,
Mhm.
and I guess you are kind of going from one track to the next in an open world way. So it's not like loading Peach Castle track. It's like, no, you're driving there. You could see it in the distance and you're going and the terrain changes and stuff like that, but I'm not accomplishing anything other than getting to that part of the map.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
maybe
heard
I
the same
haven't.
thing.
Admittedly, I haven't spent enough time with it, perhaps to see everything or to get the point of that. But in and of itself, to me, Mario Kart is more fun on a specific track with specific obstacles rather
Mhm.
than kind of an open world environment.
I agree, 1000%.
And yet when they talked about that feature, I was like, "Oh man, this is amazing. This is definitely the next iteration of Mario Kart." Um, I don't know, do you ever play the Mario Golf game on the Switch?
No, I haven't.
'Cause I think that had, like, a similar concept where you would play the hole and then you would race or, like, if you were playing against Bowser, like, you would actually run and try to beat Bowser to the next hole, and you could
Mhm.
attack, and there are different paths you could take. So I thought it was gonna be like that, but this seems more just like, "Yeah, here's the road. Go to
I'm
the
I'm
next one."
I'm gonna give you my theory. This is my theory, and I have 2 theories on this. Um, one, driving open world games are never really fun, to be honest with you. I've played
That's
plenty
fair.
of them, like, what's it called? Like Burnout Paradise is an open world driving game. I never played The
Yes.
Crew, so I can't say, but I played games like Burnout Paradise, Need for Speed Underground 2, and Need for Speed Most Wanted. I've played open world driving games, and a lot of the time they are not fun. They're just you driving from point A to no, you're driving from one race to another in a big giant map. A lot of times they're very boring unless you put some type of obstacle in your way. Like one of the things that makes, Need for Speed Most Wanted really fun is that it's open world. It should be boring, but then the world is populated by police.
Mm.
So it can change the dynamics of you trying to get to the race. Um, but after a while, it kind of gets old. Now, the other theory that I have is I think a lot of people are just tired of open world games. I think open world games have kind of overstayed their welcome. And a lot of people kind of want that linear experience. Like when they buy a racing game, they want to pick a track, they want to race on that track. Then that's it. All right, bring me the next track. Just make the tracks interesting enough to the point where people want to keep playing it. I think it's really, really telling when a lot of gamers, apparently there's statistics on this already, where a lot of gamers quit playing Mario Kart World and went back to 8.
Yeah, I have heard that anecdotally. And I do agree with you, although I will say, like, Forza Horizon, what are your thoughts on that?
I
Because I think that's a really successful
I
open
I,
world
I think
driving
that
game.
I think that one's good. I think that one's good for being a simulation kind of arcadey racer. Um, that one I played for a little bit. I never, played it I because I don't own an Xbox and I don't really play on PC, but I did play it at a buddy's house and I thought that was great. I didn't hate it.
See, I would that structure, I think, would've helped the new Mario Kart. Like, obviously, you're not gonna have all of the stuff that's in Horizon, but even if it was some kind of modified barn find, like
Mhm.
hidden objects or hidden characters that you
Yeah.
could find, or there was some kind of, and there might be, like I said, I don't know, but you know how they would have those points on the map where you could do tricks or insane
Yeah,
jumps,
yeah, yeah.
something to make it seem more surprising, like, "Oh, I'm just going through and, oh, I came across this thing." I don't know.
I think
Um,
I think if you take Mario Kart, right, and you give like if you take the model because I mean, I'm not going to say this would work, but I think it would. If you take the model of like you can say Gran Turismo or, you know, a Need for Speed Underground. Like let's say you have a Mario Kart game where instead of playing one of the Mario characters, like you can create your own goofy looking character and you don't have to race with the carts that's in the game. You can build your own cart, and then it's kind of you like building the ultimate cart to make it to Bowser or Mario at the end of the game. I think it will give you more of like incentive to roam the world and look around for other racers or something. And you know, like it just seemed very dull to me when I saw it.
mm,
Like it just didn't have any type of it doesn't have that I'm not gonna say replay value because Mario Kart always has replay value. It doesn't have that thing that makes you want to explore the world. You know what I mean? It just seemed dull when I saw it in the trailers to me. The open world
yeah,
segments, not the races, because the whole
yeah.
grinding on rails thing with your cart sounds kind of cool.
No, it is that is a good mechanic, and the kind of the different areas of the game, like, they're all thematically connected in a way that previous tracks, weren't. It was like, oh, you would do this cup, and you would just have
Mhm.
these discrete tracks, and they each had their own kind of qualities. But now it seems like the tracks are connected, like there's a theme for each of
Right.
the Grand Prix, which I don't know. In some aspects, it made it feel very samey, but they are well designed. So depending on your taste, that might be a positive that it's the theme carries through.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to do DLC and have like
Of
these different
course.
worlds, and
Of course.
so that's coming. I'll give you some other Switch 2 observations that I've had, and I have to say that I'm a little bit more positive on the console experience itself
Mhm.
than I thought I would be. Yet I despise all of Nintendo's recent decisions and corporate behavior because I think they are becoming predatory in a way that I think is even new for them.
Right.
But the console experience, like, that my key thing was backwards compatibility
Backwards compatibility and
and
stabilization of
enhancement.
your games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enhancements, stabilizations. Yeah.
So I've been very, very surprised by what I have found. So there's kind of like three levels of it. There's the paid enhancement, there's
Hmm.
the Nintendo distributed free enhancements, and then third party enhanced games. So I did purchase the Tears of the Kingdom's $10 Switch 2 version,
Okay.
and it makes that game now playable. Like, I think the frame rate and the performance was so bad on the Switch 1 that I stopped playing it. And
Do you think it was because of probably because I know some games play better when they're docked than when they're handheld. Do you think that's probably a reason?
I always played docked.
Okay.
So, I'm only comparing it to the docked
Docked version.
experience.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so it's 60 FPS,
Mhm.
solid. I think it's has some higher res textures and things like that. But it's a game that I put down that I was like, oh wow, now I can actually enjoy this. Although I will say I don't like the new Switch Legend of Zelda games. I I realize their brilliance and I can appreciate the game design behind it, but
Mm.
I just don't personally enjoy those games. But now, if I wanted to continue playing through Tears of the Kingdom, this is the way I would do it. The Nintendo distributed free uh, enhancements, the one that really jumped out to me was the Pokemon game, Pokemon Violet.
Oh, how
which
was that?
it was, again, it took a game that I even forgot I had that game, and then when I put it in, I was like, "Oh, yeah." I turned this off instantly because it was just so poor. It was one of the worsts. And now it's silky smooth, works beautifully. It's I don't know if it's open world, it's quasi open world where you can, now see the Pokemon in the distance,
Mhm.
and it's just a much more enjoyable experience.
Okay.
A third one I'll give you, the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake, and then the Zelda sequel to that completely cleans up the frame rate issues.
Very nice. Because I know you were
Be-
really big on that.
I was really big, and I liked the. Of course, I'm blanking on what the Zelda sequel was called. Echoes of Wisdom or something like that.
Is that the one
But
with
where you're
Princess Zelda?
playing as Princess Zelda, which I
Yeah.
is an amazing game. I did play through that quite a bit. But the Link's Awakening, which was more action based, like the Zelda sequel where you're playing as Princess Zelda was kind of more puzzle based, so you were staying within the game screen to
Mhm.
figure things out, whereas Link's Awakening is like you're going from screen to screen quickly, and the frame rate breakdown, stuttering was more jarring in that. That's been completely cured.
Okay.
And so that I thought was very positive. The ones that kind of really surprised me were ones that I don't think were necessarily advertised. You just put the game in, and a little update automatically downloads. Something like Cruisin' Blast, which you and I love.
Oh, man,
That's
that's a
that
gem.
game. Yeah, it is a gem. On the old Switch, it was, you know, 30 FPS. I believe. I don't think it really hit, or it tried to hit 60 and failed. Something. It was an unstable frame rate. You played the game because it was a great game, but at least I
Mhm.
noticed. I was like, oh, this could be so much better.
Yeah.
Now the patch brought it up to 60 FPS, totally transforms that game. You like the game now feels complete. Um, Another one, the Bakaru game that you and I talked about when that was
Yeah.
initially released.
Akaru's another
Again,
one.
not advertised. That game, beautiful art style,
Mhm.
horribly optimized, if you want to call it. I wouldn't. You can't really call it optimized, but just horrible frame rate. Destroyed the art style. Now
Mhm.
it's with a smoother frame rate. You could really see all the thought that went into a game like that. So if they continue doing that, just even if it's a little update that just gives you an unlocked frame rate, and you can do what I've always wanted to do is go back into the Switch collection and play games in a new way, I think that's a positive.
Mhm.
The negative for me would be like um the Forgotten Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which was one of my favorite Switch
I
games.
love that game. It's so good.
They're they're doing a paid update for that, but that one is $20.
Wow.
So I'm wondering, okay,
That's
you
an
want to charge $10, I can begrudgingly do that for a game that I like. But what is the $20? What are the
yeah.
$20 going to get me? I'm a little uncertain about that.
I think I did see what it was, wasn't it? It was a couple of new things actually. It was like a new world, new character. There were some significant updates, but they're not $20 worth of updates, to be honest with you.
Because I mean, I probably will buy it because Kirby. I mean,
It's
that
Kirby,
game.
man. It's Kirby.
Well, I'm not even a Kirby fan, and I didn't even like the concept of that game. That now Kirby's in a post-apocalyptic hellscape,
Mhm.
but it actually was really really fun, really well done,
Yeah, it is. It really is.
and it was one of those few games that I actually delay beating because I don't want it to end.
Yep.
So I was like, "Oh, I'm having such a great time with this. I'm gonna put these last 2 or 3 levels away for the future." And I
Mhm.
feel like now, okay, I'm gonna play them in a higher resolution, higher frame rate, environment. So I am looking forward to that. But I really hope these secret, unpublicized enhancements continue. And if they do that, then I think this is going to be the console that I was hoping for. Um, then again, the counter argument is, of course, shouldn't they be releasing new software, and shouldn't that software be on the game cart? And of course, the answer is yes. We don't know if they'll do that.
I think when you really think about it, I think there's only what, four actual new games on that console. There's Daemon X Machina 2. There is this Metroid game coming out, Donkey Kong, and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
That console
Well,
only has four new games.
I think the Metroid's going to be the
The
killer
high
app. Hopefully,
oh man, I'm definitely gonna buy it on the Switch. Let me ask you a question. Could you recommend the Switch 2, or do you think it's a hard recommend?
I think it. Well, it depends on the person to whom I'm recommending it. Like, I actually
Okay.
think I could recommend it to you. You have a big Switch collection, and the trajectory that they're going down, seemingly of giving you these little updates that may enhance games. Like, here's another example of one that didn't appeal to me, but I put in Persona, or no, Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Okay.
Uh, that's that one. That's the one that was released on
Was it
the Switch,
Vengeance?
right?
Yeah.
Vengeance, yeah. So that one, I had to stop playing that. That was just awful, awful performing
Oh,
game.
no, you're talking about the original one. The
The
original one
original,
had
yeah.
the frame rate issues, yeah.
Yeah. So I just put it away for a later time. I bought it on Steam, and I haven't had a chance to play it. Anyway, I put that in, and I was like, and it downloaded a patch, and I was like, this is marginally better, but I still don't want to play it. But then I looked it up online, and it said, oh no, the update gives you a locked 30 FPS,
Hmm.
whereas on the Switch One, it couldn't even hit 30 FPS
Yeah, it was
consistently.
yeah, I remember it was choppy in some parts. Most of the,
Pokemon Arceus as well, which is another game
yep.
that I surprisingly enjoyed. It was the same thing. It was like they lock the frame rate, even though the frame rate still sucks.
Mhm.
So you're you're getting some benefit. And if the Switch is your only platform, which obviously for you it's not, but if you're someone who has a big Switch collection, that's the only system that you have, this may be worth it. Um, and I will say, to Nintendo's credit, the transfer of your saves and everything was pretty seamless between both.
I heard it's pretty easy. Yeah.
Like, I remember, did you do this with the 3DS? I remember when I got my new 3DS and I wanted to get my game saves and everything from my old 3DS. I had to like You had to like disassemble the old one and find the cheap SD card that was stuck in there,
I
and
do
there
not
was a
remember
whole
that.
it was a I remember saying to myself back then, "What are they asking?" Like, it was an officially supported process for switching consoles,
Hmm.
and, like, they were like, "Oh, find a hex screwdriver and unscrew these 5 screws and locate this thing," and there's this is much better. So I would recommend it to that subcategory of people with big Switch collections. I don't know that I could just be like, just for someone who's sort of a PlayStation 5 person, I don't think they're going to be moved by it in any particular
Mhm.
way. I think if you're a family with young kids and you have a Switch, I don't think that there's enough value beyond what the Switch is going to give you. So I couldn't recommend it in that context.
Okay.
But I will say, like, the if it will be valuable to collectors long term, they've got to clear up the game key card situation.
I
And
definitely agree.
supposedly, what is creating it is right that they're only selling like 64 gigabyte cards.
Yeah, that's the
So,
news. That's the news is that that's the max, the 64 gigabyte cards, or you go key card.
yeah. So, I don't know. I think if it just becomes this the last or if the decisions made on the Switch 2 makes the previous Switch the last physical Nintendo console, then I think it's gonna be a real problem for a lot of people.
Definitely, because um Switch collectors are insane. And we've spoken about this before. And we only know this from experience is that Switch people there's a lot of physical collectors who are linked to the Switch. They don't buy games anywhere else but the Switch when there's multiple different versions of it. Switch is even I'm not even gonna lie, even for me, even if a game does have the worst frame rate on the Switch, I want the Switch version. And it's mostly because, I just feel like, the whole and we spoke about this on a previous episode is, we feel like the case and the combination of the card itself is like a complete product. Um it would be a shame for them to um do away with all that good value because of key cards, because even some of the most devoted Nintendo fans are they're disappointed, because because plain and simple, key cards are going to be worthless as soon as you
Yes.
buy it. It literally has zero value. um I don't I I don't see how some YouTubers are kind of supporting it, because the way that they're supporting it is, oh well, it is kind of physical because if you can still let someone else borrow it, and it'll download on their system. And it's like, yeah, but it'll only do that if Nintendo is still here. It'll only do that for as long as they're supporting those servers. That's the only time. So what happens if those servers shut down? Because we've seen them close digital storefronts one right after another in the past. Why should they stop now?
Yeah. I mean, the only time I would consider buying a Switch 2 game on a key card would be if it
Grand Theft Auto.
is
No, I'm joking.
well, it's gotta be platform exclusive,
Okay.
and it has to be a game people are saying is truly great.
It's got to
Okay,
be
this
a
is
really good game.
yeah. This is the only place you can play it,
Mhm.
and this is the only way you can play it. And then I think in that situation, I would get the key card, um, because it's giving you marginally more value than a download. Like, I can't sell a download,
Right.
but let's say I play this tremendously great game, and for whatever reason, I wanna sell it. There's a shortage, people are dying to play it, and, it's triple the value. Then at least with the key card, you could sell it. Again, unlikely scenario, very unlikely
There,
scenario.
for me, there's probably only one franchise that would probably get me to buy a key card, and it's F-Zero.
Oh, yeah, but that would be Nintendo would release that on cart.
I know, I know, but if they wanted people to go key cards, I would buy a key card for F-Zero.
Yeah, I would do that. I would also probably like, if we're going into these, hypotheticals, like, imagine if they said, "Hey, we're finally gonna release Earthbound 4."
Oh man,
Game key card, and, it's gonna go
yeah,
back to that classic Earthbound 2
it's a
art
game changer
style.
for people. Yeah,
Yeah. So and Nintendo would probably do that. They take the franchises everyone's clamoring for and be
uh,
like, "Oh, you said you didn't want key cards? You badmouthed
here,
this on the survey?
here's
You
Mother
want
4.
Earthbound?" Yeah.
Man, Mother collection set. It has Mother 1 through 4.
Yeah. That would be that would be one of the few instances. But Yeah, I don't see myself like, I'm still interested in collecting and importing for the old Switch,
Yeah,
the stuff
same.
that's gonna
Well,
come out in
I don't have a
its,
choice.
in the twilight of the old Switch, so,
Mhm.
that's and, hey, if it plays better on the new console, all great,
Yeah.
that's a win. So, it'll be interesting to track this as time goes on. So, next thing that was kind of in my mind to talk about
Mhm.
is, we talk about import gaming, and
It's been
I
too
think
long.
when we last recorded, right, we weren't really sure what the tariff situation would be like.
Mhm.
We have some more clarity now, and I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the importing scene and where you see it going, and how you're going to deal with it personally.
Okay. So, this is probably my favorite topic because I love talking imports. I know it's your favorite too. Uh, it's so I've dabbled in a couple of imports since the tariffs have hit us. Um, it hurts, just not as bad as I thought it would. But you
Okay.
do need to save some extra cash. I will say that. I don't want to give it away, but I did get some Switch games imported, and I got some Afterlife games imported. So, um, it it's pretty expensive. It's a bit more expensive than it used to be, and now with the currency just being just down in the dirt right now, it's really pricey. However, um where do I see it going? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think there's going to be a import drought for a lot of collectors. Just for now. I think what's going to happen, and this is my prediction. I think what a lot of collectors are doing, because I'm doing it too. I think a lot of collectors are window shopping. They're making a list and they're checking it twice, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna get this, 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 I'm gonna keep my eye on this, right? And as soon as those tariffs are lifted, there is going to be a an insane pull from Japan. I'm talking about, it's going to be insane because I went to a couple of my online stores just to see new releases that I've pre-ordered that I've actually passed on. Usually, and we spoke about this before, usually when I pre-order something like a year or two ago, when I would pre-order something, it comes out, you can never find it again. It was gone. Now, when something releases, it's in the store for months. It's just sits there. Um, and I think that just give it time. I think a lot of collectors right now are making a list, and they're waiting for this tariff situation to be lifted, and they're just gonna lightning buy. I think it's gonna be pretty crazy.
I really hope that you are right, and you are frequently right. So I feel better now because I was kind of getting into the situation where I don't know that the tariffs are going to be lifted anytime soon, and
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. They probably won't, but I don't think that's going to stop gamers. And the reason why I say this is because I try to look at things, and I'm sorry to cut you off really quick. Um, I try to look at things from a perspective that's not usually my own, right? There's a lot of complaining about people not having money, but 5 million Nintendo Switches were sold. That
yeah,
doesn't make any sense to me. So this obviously tells me, all right, gamers will buy stuff as long as, it's the thing that they want, right? Now, I'm thinking this is that people are window shopping because they expect it to be lifted. If it's not, they're going to buy it anyway.
okay,
That's what I'm
interesting.
predicting is going to happen. Or what will probably happen is they're probably gonna. use the what's it called? Their tax refund, and they're gonna lightning buy then.
Yeah, that is true. So what I was looking at
Hmm.
was, when they passed the big beautiful bill,
Yeah, I heard about that.
tucked in there was the end of the de minimis exemption for all countries.
That isn't
So
that's the thing where you import what, like a minimum of $800 or something like that, right?
yes, so they
Mhm.
went after China first and wanted to cut down on, I guess, all the Temu and Shine
Right.
stuff, all of that. Now, I don't have in front of me what the tariff was on that, but if I recall, it was like particularly bad. It wasn't just like a couple of bucks.
Mhm.
It really prohibited. It was made it prohibitively expensive to buy those things.
Okay.
So if currently the exemption is in place for Japan and for most of the rest of the world, but it's going to phase out in 2027, meaning that, and of course
I
things change so quickly, but let's say that you had to pay, I think it was something like, these aren't the exact numbers, but it was structured in this way. It was like you're going to have to pay $100 per shipment or
Jeez.
25% of the value of the shipment, whichever is greater.
Jeez.
So it had that kind of a structure. So I'll tell you, that would stop me from importing.
That it would
That
stop
would,
you. I'm going to be honest. I'm gonna
yeah.
be honest. If it said $100 per shipment, that just makes me want to pack more into the shipment. I'm going to be
Or
honest with you.
25% of the value of the shipment.
Now, if they would have said, "Oh, $100 per pound per, ounce this or something like that," then I would have been like, "Okay, we're talking crazy." But if it's like $100 per shipment, you just make me want to buy more and consolidate it into the one box because you're not going to stop me from getting my games. And if I'm and this is the thing, if I'm thinking like this, I'm pretty sure there's multiple other people that are thinking the same way. They're trying to think of ways that they can still do the thing that they like to do.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to, like I said, what's going to happen is people are going to start getting creative. They're going to start we're I I can honestly see in my head that buying video games going back to the days of how it used to be when you would go through forum sites and people would make deals on the forums and all of that stuff. I can see things going back to that. Um but me personally, I think there's a lot of window shopping happening. I can see that.
Wow.
But
Well,
I don't see you. I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to you, I don't think you're gonna stop importing. I think this is just gonna make you fly more to Japan
huh.
and then come back with games.
Well, yeah, but I wonder what if they're going to go after that.
That's
I
true. Like, you
it,
can't bring anything back from Japan. I mean, it's a possibility.
I mean, supposedly they're not going to, like, if you're legitimately buying things for yourself or
Like goods, yeah.
gifts. Yeah. I'm looking online. I'm just trying to find, like,
Nothing surprises me anymore. So
yeah.
it's a possibility that you know.
So what I'm seeing here, and I don't know, this is on a law firm's website, so take it with a grain of salt, but it backs up what I was saying. Like, you'll either have to pay the tariff rate imposed on the country in which the product was produced,
Jeez,
or a specific duty ranging from 80 to $200 per item, depending on the applicable rate in the country it's coming
that's
from.
that's brutal.
Yeah.
Because
So,
I've purchased a couple of things from. So man, that is
like, I don't think
brutal.
it's come into effect yet, but, like, I imported, I have one import shipment coming in.
I have a couple. Do
And
are we moving into this segment or?
no, I don't think it's, my understanding is that we've got until 2027.
Mm,
But
okay.
when I'm, I got it from one of our sources. I'm not gonna, we agreed not to reveal our sources, but I ordered the Nintendo Switch, the
Oh, the
Furaiki.
Japanese one?
No, the Furaiki 5 for the original Switch. That you
Ooh.
told
Yeah,
me
yeah,
about
yeah.
this game,
Yeah, the
and I
bike game.
really enjoyed the first one.
Mhm.
So, or the fourth one. So I had to pre-order the fifth and the Irem Collection Volume 3, which
Yep,
I've been getting all of the Japanese Irem Collection
because 'cause
games.
they're amazing. Yep.
Yeah. So that, you know, with shipping turned out to be 12,700 yen, which is not
So
crazy. So that's like
wait, you
80
said
bucks.
12,000? Yeah, that's $80. 12,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot for shipping.
Well, no, that's with shipping included. The both
Oh,
those
I
games
thought you
and
said
shipping.
shipping was 12,000 because I
No,
was
no,
like,
no.
"That is absurd." Okay, so 12K for that's good. So the shipping, I'm assuming, was about 4,900?
No, shipping was, uh, 1,700.
No way. That's cheap.
Yeah, the Furaki was expensive, 7,000
That's
yen.
pretty cheap. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
but
then again, you don't buy giant boxes like I do.
yes. S so, I don't know what's gonna happen when it hits the postal system here.
You're gonna
I
be fine.
I I placed this order, like, well before probably the last time we recorded this podcast is
Okay.
when I placed this order, but, we'll see what happens. I think, like I said, I hope you're right that there's this sort of pent up desire, and then they change the tariff situation, and we can go crazy. Um, but I do think if this kind of continues on this path, and in 2027 we get the tariff rate or 80 to $200 per shipment, I think that effectively ends
Yeah,
importing for all but the most
that
passionate and rich people.
that would literally end the hobby of importing. And I've thought about that too because I was just thinking, I was like, man, I wonder what's gonna happen to Play Asia. You know,
Yeah,
I was like, man,
they
because a lot of people order from Play Asia.
Yeah, and what they're doing too, I mean, like PlayAsia, obviously they're shipping from Hong Kong, but then they opened up a facility, I think, in Singapore to
Yeah,
avoid some of
so
this. But now
yeah,
there's a rule that, like, they're not going to pay attention to the intermediary countries. Like, if they know it's coming from an entity based in China, you're going to have to pay the Chinese tariff.
Chinese tariff. Wow, that's
Y-
crazy.
Yeah, so and like going to Japan, like that is still an option. Of course, that's expensive.
Yeah, but
And
like I said, like that's probably is it's gonna go back. It might go back to the way people think, the way people did things back in the day, where they would have to, either make deals on forms or you fly to Tokyo and you would, consolidate packages there and buy gifts and shove it in your backpack. That actually
by the
sounds
way,
like fun.
I can I actually tried that on my recent trip. Um,
Consolidating packages.
well, we had purchased quite a bit of stuff. We
Yeah.
were there for a while, and this was not gaming. It's like we knew we were moving, so my wife, and rightfully so, she like loves like the kitchen. They have like streets dedicated to kitchen stuff and
Hmm.
home goods and stuff like that. So we bought quite a bit, and then we realized, good lord, we cannot fit any of this. So one day, one of my tasks was to just go around and see if we can just ship this stuff back to the US. And to make a long story short, it was extremely difficult to find. Like, there's this place called Yamato Shipping, which I thought
Hmm.
would work, but they would only ship for if you were a permanent resident of Japan and you were moving back to the States. The postal system, Japan Post would do it,
Japan
but
Post. Yeah.
yeah, the box and the cost and the time was such that it really didn't make any
Can I
sense. So we
can I
went,
just say this? Can I just say this
yeah.
really quick? Japan Post sucks if you're trying to import. They suck. I hate it. Continue. I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, and it wasn't just any like people told me like, "Oh, you have to go to this specific one in this part of
Mhm.
town and they'll do it." So it was just such a hassle. What we wound up doing was just paying for more luggage.
Oh, wow.
That was cheaper.
Man, that sucks. Yeah, but it's like, wasn't how tiring was that?
Well, it was now considering that we got like 2 70-pound suitcases or 70-kilo suitcases each, you're allowed that,
Mhm.
on A&A, and then we had to buy a 5th, basically. It was probably more lifting than my new type magazines.
Man,
And then
I'm
when we
sorry.
landed, in New York and the car was there and the guy looked at us and he was like, "What the hell did you people do?" Actually, it even funnier, we, accumulated this stuff as we were traveling, through the country 'cause, like I've said before, my wife, when she goes there, she works in the Tokyo area, but then, we
Mhm.
traveled for a little vacation to Hiroshima, to Osaka, and we just kept on gathering this stuff. So there were a couple times when we would like get a cab and the Japanese cab drivers are so nice. They don't want you to load anything into
Mhm.
the car itself. They want to do it for you. So this one guy picks us up and he's this really, really old guy. He could have been mid 70s, just small guy. And I was like, no, 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 please let me put this in the car. And he insisted. And so I gave him our suitcase and he collapsed.
Oh, wow.
He just I'm
Yep.
like, "Okay, sir, here you go," and he just fell to the ground under the weight. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm actually in very good shape now between moving and lifting and,
Yeah.
going up and down flights of stairs and walking. When you go to Japan, I average walking 10 miles a day.
Nice. Yeah,
Uh,
I've heard that that's like one thing that's awesome about Japan is that you walk everywhere.
yeah, it's, of course, in America, like, I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll get 2,000 steps, 3,000 steps on a good day."
Mhm.
There, it's like, "No, 20,000 steps." But, I did some good game hunting, and I'm gonna since we're talking about Japan briefly, just a shout out to one of our Discord, members,
Is it Oki?
Oki Panic,
Oki, Oki.
Oscar. Yep, met up with him. We went, game hunting at we had some lunch, and then we went game hunting at a surigaya. It was an absolutely awesome experience.
Nice.
When you're game hunting, not only with a sort of a passionate player, but also a developer,
Mhm.
like, just he had a lot of insight. Like, we just go aisle for aisle, and he, we would talk about the various games and which ones are good deals, and he would give me like the history of certain games and developers and stuff like that. Really, really fun. So I think the three of us have to meet up there one day.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely gonna have to take a connecting flight to New York, pick you up, and then take another flight to Tokyo.
Hey, I'm seasoned by now. I was
I,
so
you're a veteran.
yeah, I was so afraid of that flight for years. Like, what am I gonna do for, yeah,
Was
13 hours?
yeah,
And I've done it now 3 times, and it's like, okay, I can do this.
I got this.
Yeah, but it's fun, and I think, the exchange rate wasn't as great this time.
Yeah,
Probably
it's
paying about 7% more, but things were, the games were still reasonable for certain things. Like, I think they've caught on to what American game hunters are looking for, and like if
Yeah.
a game's in a case, it's going to be super expensive.
Yeah, if I think what is it? It's Famicom, Super Famicom, um,
Mega Drive
Saturn,
is
Sega Saturn, Mega Drive. Well, Mega Drive is weird. Mega Drive is in a weird place because Mega Drive is expensive in Japan, but it's not expensive in the States, which is weird. I don't understand that.
yes,
So, but the cheap stuff I notice is like 3DS or things you can't translate, you know. Uh, but man, PS4 I think is pretty cheap there too.
very very cheap. Yeah, very
Yeah,
cheap.
PS4 is
PS4. I
pretty
mean,
cheap.
that's why I kick myself that I am not fluent because like if you like the Vita, I mean the Vita games are
Vitas,
just dirt
oh,
cheap.
because they're everywhere. Everyone had a
Yeah.
Vita in Japan.
But there's still some value to be had. I'm looking for one game that I found over there, and when I scanned it into the Game Eye app, it was actually worth quite a bit. And of course, now that we're talking, I can't find it. But I'll give you an example of a game that I picked up. Um, the Kill a Kill game for the Switch.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, I did note this one. Like I bought it at a I forgot where I got it, like a book off and some we were visiting people in a town far, far from Yokohama. I
Hmm.
got it for $16.
Wow,
And it's now, according to GameEye, $74.
that's a
If
find.
you yeah, if you want it in the
That's a
States.
hell of a find.
But there was a
Very good,
recent
very
like on
good.
this recent trip, I got this fighting game and I had never heard of it. I picked it up because it was, $7 or something. When I scanned it in, it was like, oh, this is $100 game.
What game was it? For what console?
Switch. And I
Switch doesn't
am t
have a lot of fighting games right now.
no, I'm totally of course, I can't find
It's
it now
not
that I
it's not Blazing Strike, right?
no,
Rumblefish? Because those are the new fighting games that came out. Was it an anime fighter or was it?
it was an anime fighter,
Well, we already
and
have Melty Blood, so it's not that.
it's not Melty Blood, although, you know what, that's one of the games that is very much behind the case.
Yeah, Melty Blood is always gonna be it's expensive now. Um, you caught that right at a good time. Right
I
before it
definitely
shot
did.
up. Um, yeah, the only ones I can really think of that are new that came out as fighters are what? Under Night 2, Blazing Strike, Pocket Brawlers, I think is called. Pocket something. And then Rumblefish 2.
It actually could have been a pricing error because now I'm not seeing it.
What was it
I
called?
should tr
You don't remember?
I don't remember. See, and I'm not actually in the game room recording this, so I can't even get up and look for it. But an ex- I think the good example is that Kill a Kill game.
Okay.
Like I said, that was dirt cheap and pretty widely available. And I guess here people are paying a premium for it. So yeah, the game hunting is fun over there. I will say that. And I definitely have to say, like, going into a big camera or a Yodobashi camera and just like, we just don't have those stores anymore.
No.
I regret that. Like, you said, did you grow up in the New York area for a bit?
Yeah, I grew up in Queens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you ever go to JNR Music World?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, wasn't that an amazing place?
Yes, it was.
And I feel like that is well, first, they went out of business.
Yep.
We just don't have stores like that where you can actually go and experience technology and audio video products.
Not anymore. No.
I was in a Yodobashi over there, and I was able to like they just had like a listening room, and there's a Japanese audio company called Luxman,
Mhm.
and, like, their gear is, you want an amplifier, it's probably 10 grand, something like that. So they had just a Luxman amp and 2 Focal, like, high-end speakers from France. The whole setup would have been, $200,000 just there, and you could sit and listen to it. No one was there. No one bothered me. And then, I went to the Denon room and, like, the Marantz room. They just had you could get totally lost there. I really miss that.
Man,
What was
those
your, just for nostalgic purposes, what was your do you have a JNR Music World memory?
uh
Like a
I
time when you
do,
were
but
there, when you saw something?
it's kind of it for me, it was a what's the word I'm looking for? For me, it was kind of it was a trauma moment for me.
Oh,
Uh
no.
but it has a good ending. A long time ago, me, my father, an uncle of mine, and my cousin all went there. And I think my dad was looking for a new camera or something like that. And I remember seeing a copy of Turtles in Time, brand new in the
Ooh.
box, sitting on the wall, and I was like, man, I really want this because I played that game all the time in the arcade, and I would spend a lot of my time renting it from Blockbuster all the time, and I really wanted my own copy. And I remember asking my dad for that game, and he flat out told me no. And then my uncle swooped in and bought it for my cousin. That left such a scar on me. Like to this day, I still don't ask my dad for anything. Um, and he always wonders why I don't ask him for anything, which is weird because he's like, why don't you tell me when you need something? It's like, "Bro, I don't want to ask you, Dad. It's okay." But years later, after that trauma happened, I would always tell my wife this story all the time, about how I never got, Turtles in Time, and what happened with my cousin, and even to this day, like me and my cousin went home and we played it, we had fun, but I wish my dad would have bought it for me. My wife for my birthday one day found a copy new in the box, and
Ooh.
she got it for me, and I was like, "How did you find this?" And then I told her, "Wait, you know what? I don't want to know." Because it's still wrapped. And I told her, I said, "You know what? I want to play this." I actually broke it open and I played that game. And then she's like, "Really? This is what you wanted?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is all I wanted." I even set it up the same way. I slid the little pillow on the floor. I sat on the floor, my legs crossed, and I just played. I played it all the way up until I got to the pirate ship, and I was like, I hate this level, so I'm not going to continue. So yeah, but
Wow.
I remember seeing a copy of that on the wall, and then a couple of years later, I remember seeing I walk into that place again, and I was a bit I who did I go with this time? I think it was with my mom this time, and I remember they were selling a game, and I saw a copy of Sonic Blast Man 2. And I was floored. I was like, "There's a sequel to Sonic Blast Man? Mom, I need this."
Ah,
So,
those
yeah,
were the days. No,
yeah, man. Yeah.
for me, 2 or 3 things stand out. I mean, it was my father worked kinda near their main store in New York, so I would pop in, if we were ever there visiting him, but, the one time, the gaming related story, and I was a little bit older at this point, but,
Mhm.
uh, it was the first place that I saw an Alienware PC.
Oh, wow.
And, like, I'm talking about Alienware before they were purchased by Dell, when they were their own unique gaming PC company, and it was
I thought they were always their own company. Okay. I didn't know that.
no, no, they were purchased by Dell kind of a long, long time ago,
Did
and,
not know that.
like, when Alienware was an enthusiast gaming PC company, and it was that original model that kinda looked like the eyes and the face of the alien, and it was playing some racing game, high frame rate, and I was like, "Man, my computer sucks. I need to get this. I will never be able to afford this," because it was, I don't know how much it was, but it was super expensive. Then the other memory was when I was younger. It was really funny. I don't know, and I'm gonna date myself, but I think there was a Rolling Stone magazine where there was some famous magazine. I think it was Janet Jackson,
Oh, wow.
and she's topless, but like someone's, holding her chest, so you don't really get to see anything.
Uh-huh.
It's just like two hands. And I
Mhm.
remember being in the CD section and like seeing that, and I'm like, man, it must be great to be an adult. I'll get in trouble if I buy that, but adults are so lucky. Um, and those are my two distinct memories, but I do remember going once and of course I'd always ask my parents for this or that. They would say no. But I think at one point my father was like, "Well, why don't you get their magazine?" Like they had like a little mailer magazine
Mhm.
that you could get, and yeah, it might have even been like a catalog where you could order their products. So I signed up at the store, and then every month or every other month they would send the J&R Music World catalog. And I
Ooh.
would pour through that thing page after page after page, looking at all the different like AV equipment, laser disc players, video games, and I always look forward to getting that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've dated
Good old
myself.
times,
People are
man. Good old
the
times.
yeah, the audience is just like, "What the hell is J&R Music World?"
Yeah, what are they talking? Well, a lot of your listeners might know exactly what you're talking about because I don't think you have any. I don't think there is too many young listeners that listen to this podcast. I think a lot of the listeners that listen to our podcast are probably our age or older.
I want to believe that somewhere out there a young person is listening to us and learning something.
We're not cool kids on the block, man.
Yeah, we hey, you've been posting things to the Discord about how young people are kind of
Oh
looking
yeah,
into
that,
physical media and
that's true.
retro
That's true.
gaming, retro culture. So really, we should be the fonts of
Man,
wisdom for these
which
people.
which is very true because I didn't even know this until I think a week ago, but apparently Gen Z are into CDs. Like they're
Yeah.
bringing CDs back. Like they're the reason why CDs are making a comeback, and I'm just like, really? CDs?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
yeah, you're right. You're right.
I don't know, man. When was the I was gonna say when was the last time I bought a CD, but I actually bought a CD on the most recent trip to Japan because we
Same.
found like a Tower Records, which I
Yeah.
didn't know even existed. So I was just like, oh, well, I want to go and they had the headphones on the different rows of CDs, and you could listen to things. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to buy a CD just for the heck of it. But
I,
I did not know that Gen Z is actively searching these things out.
yeah. I think the last CD I bought was the soundtrack to Shin Megami Tensei 5. I think that was the last one I bought.
Okay.
So that was recent. That was like what, 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, no, that was pretty recent.
Yeah.
The the soundtrack scene in Japan is surprisingly expensive.
Yeah.
I was at a couple
That's
of
that's not
places where
surprising.
yeah. So anyway, we always like to talk about what we're playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was that first game that you talked about building the game room you wanted to get in? What was the first game you played?
Um I think it was well, I've been playing a game called um Shockman Zero on the SNES. So I pre-ordered one of those. Okay, so maybe I should explain this. So after the trauma that Nintendo has put on me with the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, uh, I think I've kind of fallen into afterlife games. I've become quite addicted to them. The other thing is that I've become quite well. I kind of put them in the same realm. Afterlife and Homebrew, I kind of put them in the same realm. If you don't know what that is, that's basically a game. This is for the listeners who don't know. Um, an Afterlife game is a game that is made in modern day for old consoles. Um, now, uh, Shockman Zero is not an Afterlife game. It's more of a it's a re-release. It's a game that never was released in the United States, and it finally got a release sometime this year. And it's a Super Nintendo game. It's a Super Famicom game that was finally released on the Super Nintendo by Retrobit. Um,
Okay.
it was the one that I showed you that came in the orange box. It has the nice 90s anime on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's fantastic. I've been playing that nonstop. Since I got the room up and running, that was the game I was really focused on. It plays like Mighty Final Fight as a platformer. It's really
Interesting.
fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. It has that 90s goofy Super Famicom humor that you like. I've been playing that quite a bit. I've also been playing a lot of Sega Dreamcast, like a ton.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got my hands on a new in the box copy of Mach X,
Really?
which yeah, it was new in the box. And you want to know where I actually got it from New York, which is hilarious. They Video Games New York had a copy and I bought it from them for $50. So
That
that
is
was
very reasonable.
it is very reasonable because I think that game should be more. That game is fantastic, by the way. If you have a copy, I suggest you give it a play. So
I
those
do
are the two
not.
games that I've been playing religiously. Wait, nope, that's a lie because there was a Switch game that took up my time too. Um it was if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking it's like right at the tip of my tongue. Um Phantom Breakers is what I got. I got Phantom Breakers, which is a re-release. I've been playing that quite a bit too. So that's me. That's what I've been playing. What about you? What if well, have you been playing anything? Because you just got your your room together.
Well, I mean, I would say that for me, it would be Mario Kart, New Donkey Kong,
Okay.
Pokemon Violet is kind of what I've been playing. I did get that Garu City of the Wolves game.
How
Uh,
is that? I've heard some very, very just
um,
meh things.
I I mean, I picked it up on the trip,
Okay.
and I played that. It seems like, and again, very very brief impressions. This was like the night that I was playing it. I'm like, hey, this basement floor is wet, and then the saga began.
Hmm.
Um, but it seems to have like an arcade mode with characters that by and large I've never heard of, which was kind of upsetting. And then it has like Ronaldo and some
Oh yeah.
Italian
Yeah.
DJ who's
Yeah.
friends with the Saudi Arabian prince who owns SNK or something.
Yeah.
Um,
I heard.
so that was off-putting, but then there's another mode where you're kind of like a story mode where you're going through the city and you could play as like Terry Bogard and, some of the other characters. So,
Mhm.
um, I would have to explore more of that.
Okay.
Uh, I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. Um, but I'll talk about some games that I am looking forward to playing. I posted this to the Discord. I picked up um, the Idle Jancy Mahjong
Oh yeah,
Compendium.
I did see that. I
So
did
that
see
again,
that.
that is just one that was only of interest to me.
Mhm.
And another game that I saw all over Japan, and I had to pick it up, and it has, as I'm going through my game eye here, has really jumped up in value. Is something called Sonic Wings Reunion,
It
which
okay. Okay.
is it?
Did
Have
it
you
really
played it?
okay. So I have the LE of Sonic Wings
Okay.
Reunion. And let me tell you this. Did it really go up?
Well, I just have the regular edition.
Oh my
So
god.
I'm seeing it for like it says 140 new,
Jesus.
and I think it was like 50 some dollars over there.
Hold on. Let me see this. I feel
Because
like you're lying.
like I said, I kept on seeing it everywhere. And now that I go onto eBay, I'm seeing it for less. So I don't know what Game
Oh,
I is telling me.
give me a second. Oh, it's loading. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So the LE is pretty expensive. Well,
Yeah,
it's $100. I didn't pay $100 for mine when it first released. 150. Okay. Sonic. Have you played Sonic Wings Reunion?
I have not.
Okay. Have you ever played Sonic Wings?
Um, I probably have, but I cannot remember. It sounds familiar.
I'm going to be honest. I like Sonic Wings. I like Sonic Wings, the original game, very much. The reunion version tries to do too much to the background to me that it comes off-putting, if that makes
Okay.
any sense. It's not that it's bad, it's just distracting. Because when you usually play a shmup, everything just kind of moves kind of slow in the background, but the digitized sprites look way different from the background. Like sometimes the background is a painting or it's something different than what the sprites are that are moving. The problem that I have with Reunion is that everything is using the same graphics. So it's really hard to see certain things and like the background just annoys me to look at.
I I could see how that's irritating, and I find that as you get older, sometimes a very busy background can be difficult.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not that it's bad. It's just you're definitely going to need to put some extra time and effort into the game to have your eyes adjust for sure. But it's not
Okay.
bad.
All right. Well, I'm going to give that a try because, like I said, it was just in every section and every store. There was a poster, there was a handout. The game
Jeez.
seemed to follow me.
So it was all over the
Uh,
place. Wow. I really
yeah.
thought that game was going to be extremely hard to find because you can't find that game anywhere in the States. Like Sonic Wings is a really hard game to find.
Did it have a North American release?
It does. But it's called Aerial. Aerial something. Aerial. It's not Aerial Wings, right? It's Aerial something. I forget. Sonic Wings is the Japanese name.
It struck me like I had never heard of it. It struck me as
Let me see.
something that I had not seen. Sonic. Well, let's see if our app gives us the
Yeah, I'm
different
looking in
version.
the app right now, but it's Aerial something, not Aerial Blaster, not Aerial Dancer. Aerial Fighters. That's what it's
Okay,
called.
interesting.
Wow, Aerial Fighters on the Super Nintendo is $1,000.
Yeah,
Why?
that
Oh my
is.
god. Aerial Fighters on the Super Nintendo with a North American release is $1,000 loose.
That is crazy. I feel
What?
like I feel like
Complete in box is
somebody
34,000. 3,400, I mean, I'm sorry. That's an insane price.
like
Wow.
that's Neo Geo territory.
Yeah, Neo Geo is always going to be like that though, you know.
I think somebody now I lack the time and resources to do this, but I think it would be fascinating to do a documentary where you tracked like 2025 the whales of the video game collecting scene. Like who is buying that?
Wait, you mean
And
retro
for and
whales or current
yeah,
game
the
whales?
retro whales. Like someone is
Oh,
paying $3,400 for that game. You know, why are they buying it and for what purpose? Are these just super rich shelf collectors?
most of the time, yeah. Most of
Because
the time,
I
it's super
I feel
rich,
like if you were
super rich shelf collectors who they usually post it online that they have said thing just so that they can talk about it, and that's about it.
Okay. 'Cause I would have thought that those guys would have gotten their hands on everything that they wanted. Like, it's one thing that to do it in 2018, it's another thing to do it in 2025.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I still think it would be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out another, documentary idea for anyone who might be listening. It's occurred to me, uh, in Japan, they still have payphones,
No way.
and yep, and when I was in Europe last, I even in Europe, I came across a payphone here or there,
Okay.
and I'm sure there's some here in the States too, if, at some point, like, I would love to see who is using these payphones and to know their life story right now, their history and their life story. And I'm not saying it in a demeaning way. I think it's legitimately fascinating.
Yeah.
Like somebody who is searching out a payphone has to have something, interesting or emotional or heart-wrenching or maybe even uplifting to tell.
Yeah.
So I'm not a filmmaker, but
I'd watch that.
take that idea and credit it to me. Um, all right, how about we conclude with a question for the podcast? We do have a section on the Discord that says "Ask Nolo Podcast,"
Yep. You can ask us
and
anything, guys, and we'll
it,
answer it.
we will answer. This is not part of the Patreon. We're not asking for donations. We will just answer your questions because we love talking about video games. And
Yep.
a guy from the Discord named Apollyon, who is a really really great commenter.
Yes, he
And by the
is.
way, he's going to be a guest soon,
Hmm.
and he's got some insights into Switch collecting that I think are really fascinating and that are underreported and that I have not necessarily seen a lot online. So, watch for that. He's gonna come on the show. But he asks this month. He says, in the age of really good arcade emulation, in general, if you wanted to play through a game that came from the arcades, would you prefer playing an emulated version of a game, whether that be official or unofficial? Or would you prefer to play a good, but not arcade perfect port to a console or PC?
Man, that just hit
It's,
me in all kinds of feels.
yeah.
Do you want to take a crack at this?
Yeah, I mean, well, first, and I really like Apollyon, so I'm not trying to be, you know, uh snarky with this question, but I mean, a port to a console or PC is often emulation, right? Like they've got an emulator built in
Yeah.
and so I don't see them as being necessarily two distinct things. Now, if you're asking would I rather play like an emulated version on something like an analog pocket or a Mister or RetroArch versus uh a playable but not perfect port to a console or PC, I would
Mhm.
say in that instance, I would lean towards those emulation platforms because I
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, almost. Um, I'm trying to think because I I don't mind either one, right? So I never really thought about if I preferred one over the other. And the game that keeps popping up in my head is Captain America and the Avengers. Do you remember that
okay,
game?
I do. Yeah.
The arcade port, the console port is a lot more frustrating to play. However, I'm trying to think, because I enjoy both of those games kind of equally. So I think it really depends on the game. Um, like a lot of people would much rather play Castlevania than the arcade version of Castlevania, which is what Dracula's Castle is it called?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it really depends. but he's asking us, right? So what we would like.
Yeah.
um, uh, this one's tough for me because I like arcade ports and I like really bad games. So, um, I'll probably go the same route you're going. To be honest with
Yeah,
you.
because I feel like I know I don't have a Mister, and I
Mhm.
was thinking of getting one until our current, geopolitical situation hit,
Right.
but, the analog pocket, the FPGA, I don't know if you call that emulation or not, I'm gonna consider it to be a type of emulation.
Hmm.
Um, I was really shocked at how good some of those, emulated games are, like,
Yeah.
uh and they're free a lot of the times. Like playing The Punisher,
Oh man.
someone who does a lot of, programming for the Pocket, released that last year,
Hmm.
and man, it was precise and playable in a way that MAME wasn't. Like, I had played that game on MAME, and I had a good time with MAME back in the day.
Same.
And I had my whole arcade childhood on MAME, and it was fine. And then I felt like this is taking it to another level. So, I don't know that, like, a PC port or a console port necessarily offers that. I think there's too much of a range, whereas,
Well,
um,
hold
typically
on.
with those emulators, it's, with the Pocket with an FPGA, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say is that the console port to the Punisher is really good. It's pretty close to the arcade.
Really,
So
I've
I
never played that.
you never played Punisher on the Sega Genesis?
Oh, no, 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 the Punisher, I'm talking about, like, the Capcom arcade Punisher, like, the arcade version.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is that the arcade version of that game, the Genesis version is pretty close to the arcade port.
Really? Okay.
They're pretty close. I cannot think of anything that the Genesis version did different or worse when it came to the arcade version. So it man, that's a really good game to kind of bring up when we're talking about, you know, differences in ports and arcade ports and maybe console ports or what is it? Arcade perfect?
Well, not
Oh,
arcade. He said, a good but not arcade perfect port to a
yeah.
console or PC. So I'm trying to think like what so the now I didn't know that the Punisher on the Genesis, I thought that was like a spin-off. I didn't realize that was the actual arcade game.
Yeah, it's the
Uh,
actual arcade game. Yeah.
Um what do you think, like, what sticks out in your mind as a really good console port of an arcade game and a really poor one?
Um X-Men?
The
um
original
yeah, wait,
arcade
well,
4 screen
they're
X-Men?
not the same. I mean, they're not the same. I'm just that's the first thing that pops into my head, but um I would say probably Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, maybe because I mean the arcade port is vastly different from well no that yeah that's too different. Um
Because I
wow
I
this
liked actually the Genesis Michael Jackson game.
I like the Genesis one too. Have you played the arcade version of that game?
I did, and that was
It's
I
like an
played that on.
asymmetrical kind of view, like not
Yeah,
Gauntlet, but
and then he turns into, like, the mech,
yeah.
at one
I'm
point.
tr- I'm trying
I
to
kinda
think.
preferred the Genesis game.
I do too. I'm trying to think like what's a game that has maybe Final Fight? Is that a
Yeah,
good
that especially the SNES one, like, that I
That's what
think
I'm
that was
talking
an
about. Yeah.
yeah, that was an example of one that was limited, right? Because you could only play 2 of the 3 characters.
2 of the 3 characters and it was only 1 player.
Yeah. I had the Sega CD version, which I thought was an awesome version of Final Fight.
And it has really good music.
Yeah, the epic
Yeah.
soundtrack.
Mhm.
Yeah, the certainly back in the day, right, the arcade ports were horrible. Like, I wouldn't call that a good, but not arcade perfect. Like,
Mhm.
think about, the original, I guess not the original, but the Ninja Turtles, the arcade game.
The one with the
F
fire in the apartment complex, is that the one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the NES.
Yeah, that was bad.
And, oh, I wanted that game so badly as a kid because I would only have, like, a certain budget when I went to the arcades in the Jersey
Mhm.
Shore. I would always play the arcade game, and then when I heard that was coming out in my child childhood mind, I was like, "Well, wait a minute. If I just get my parents to buy me this game, it'll be exactly like the arcade. I'll never have to come into the arcade and waste my
Mhm.
quarters again." And yeah, that I was wrong about that. Although I enjoyed it and I played the hell out of it, that is a terrible version of that game. But, if I think in more recent times, I would actually say that the Capcom fighting collections that they've put out on the Switch and the
Yeah.
PS4 are
Mhm.
actually very, very good. Surprisingly good. Some of the best.
After the update, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because
Maybe
because
I
because
didn't.
there was an update where, when you played, the versus mode with another friend, the arcade would kinda lock you in that versus mode. So, like, let's say if you win a fight, you have to stay with your team until you died. Like, it never took you back to the character select screen after the fight. So once the update came out for that fix, yeah, it's perfect. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, so that I did not run into that, but yeah, those were all three of them. I thought were
Yeah,
spectacular.
yeah, they're pretty good.
Um, Trying to think of a really bad modern art,
I can think
ports.
of a bad one. Modern day arcade ports. I don't know any modern day because I haven't been to an arcade in forever.
Yeah,
Um,
or
Modern
even
day,
just
I can't
one.
think of any, but back in the day, yeah, there's a couple. Um, I'm trying to think. A lot of them are fighting games too. Like Saturday Night Slam Masters, I think has an okay port. But which one would I pick? Would it be the arcade or, the Super Nintendo version? When it comes to that game, I would pick the arcade version
Yeah,
of that game for sure. Because
I
that port
would,
was very limited.
I would definitely, agree with that. Now, of course, so I'm getting into old age here because I could think of one bad arcade port,
I thought you were
or
gonna
at
say
least the
Pitfall for a second on the
no, no, no,
the
the people
Atari.
said this was bad. So
What was
what this was, and I am not finding it in my app, but what this was a Switch collection of Hong Kong. It was like a Hong Kong, I think, property on the Neo Geo, or it was like a ripoff of the Neo Geo in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
And these were kind of like martial arts, like belt scrolling beat 'em ups.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people complained about this collection. Incredibly in the wrong, uh, kind of like the graphic scaling was off, the timing was off, and yep, of course I can't find it. I feel like
A
there's
mystery
something wrong
for another
with my
for another
Game
episode.
Eye app. I will post this to the Discord, but it was like a Play Asia special, and the games themselves weren't great, but the graphical scaling was just so off that people complained.
Mm.
Although it's kind of interesting in our internet age, like there are people, they were who knew these games. Like I had never heard of these games. Who was, snobby enough to, oh yes, back when I was in Hong Kong, the the screen scaling was totally different. Anyway, I'm gonna find this at some point and post it. But yeah, I would definitely go with the emulated versions.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So, w
I don't mind doing the emulated versions.
well, I think the natural extension of this question is actually, do you prefer playing it in the arcade versus the emulation versus the
I'm
port.
I'm gonna be honest, I prefer playing in the comfort of my home, an arcade port.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I don't mind going to the arcade. We have an arcade where I live. I don't mind going there from time to time, but like sometimes you just want to like, hang out in your home. Like one of my favorite arcade games to play in my home is the Spider-Man arcade game, the one where you get to play as Hawkeye, Namor, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's good and bad at the same time. But I just find it funny. It makes me laugh because Spider-Man has such bad posture in that game. But I just like playing that game. But I prefer playing in the comfort of my own home when it comes to arcade ports instead of
Yeah,
being at the arcade.
I am exactly the same way. Like, I think it depends on the arcade too. Like, I've been to some barcade places where
Mhm. We have those
obviously
too.
the machines have not been well cared for,
Yep.
and it's just not a great experience. But then I have been to some arcades where the machines were quite well kept,
Hmm.
and it really felt similar to what I remember as a kid. But and again, this is I'm going to date myself. Like I feel playing games like we'll just take Turtles in Time. I actually did this with a buddy of mine. We played that, played it all the way through in the arcade, and we were like, our hands and forearms hurt. From all the button pressing, or
Right.
like NBA Jam we were playing, and it was just it's like, man, we don't have the reflexes that we used to have. Whereas I think sitting on the couch with a controller is enjoyable, or just even having like I have the Vulix arcade stick at home, and it's just nice playing that like on my desk. It's
Mm.
I think the better experience nowadays.
Okay.
So anyway, that is a great question. Keep the questions coming, and I think we've covered quite a bit of ground tonight.
I think we did. I think it was a pretty good episode for us coming back. I know the next time we record, it's gonna be even more information. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it was
Well, we're
pretty
gonna
good.
have more time in our game rooms. We're gonna get back
Yep.
to some serious gaming, and we look forward to sharing that with everyone. So we will sign off for now and see you in sooner than in 6 months.
Yeah,
We're gonna
definitely.
we're gonna we're gonna get back to our normal schedule.
Yep, definitely.
All all right. See you guys.